The beauty of Florida can be found among the ancient cypress trees. They stand like giant sentinels, where more than 60 years ago, a dream was born that would share Florida and its beauty with everyone.
The beauty grows at Cypress Gardens, a golden show for everyone. Come celebrate the best of Florida with water ski and pageantry and fun.
In a land before Disney World and Universal Studios, there was the first and original Florida theme park. Its name, Cypress Gardens, a botanical adventure park dating all the way back to 1932. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Discover, theme parks past, present, and all around the globe. In this week's episode, we're taking a look at the extensive and extraordinary history of Cypress Gardens. As mentioned before, this beautiful theme park's history begins in 1932, with one man by the name of Richard Pope Sr. and his wife Julie. The couple had recently moved to Florida, after living in New York State for some time. Julie Pope had been reading in an article of Good Housekeeping magazine about a banker in Charleston, South Carolina, who had recently opened his own private estate to the public, charging admission while making a massive $36,000 in 1 year, which was big money at the time. Julie would show her husband the article, in which Richard would reply, "Someday, we'll build a garden and attract visitors to Winter Haven, Florida." Little to their own belief in this statement, this was the official birth of what would become Cypress Gardens. Over the next 4 years, construction of the park would begin. Mr. Pope himself would even join the construction crew to bring his family's ideal garden adventure to life. During construction, the media in the Winter Haven area would mock and laugh at the idea, given the marshland that the Popes were trying to construct on top of. This wouldn't stop the dream. Not surprisingly, but Mr. Pope did not know much about flowers, especially for someone trying to open a botanical garden and park. But the true creative pioneer of the park, Julie Pope, had an amazing green thumb. Together, they would go hand in hand to create one-of-the-kind experience. Cypress Gardens would officially open on January 2nd, 1936. Over the first 10 years of operation, Mr. Pope would go on to create many newsreels, revealing the beauty that existed within the gardens. Due to the immediate success, Mr. Pope was named the father of Florida tourism, for Cypress Gardens attracting crowds from far and wide. On top of the beautiful garden experience, ski shows became a normal form of entertainment for guests. In turn, this would become a main attraction for the park. By 1943, the United States had entered the World War, and Cypress Gardens pledged to do their part. Mr. and Mrs. Pope would allow for soldiers to come to the park and be entertained by all things the park had to offer. After the war was over, the Golden Hills of Hollywood, California would make a move to Florida. Over the next handful of years, numerous movies would be filmed on location inside Cypress Gardens. Films such as This Is Cinerama, amongst many others, on top of dozens of TV show episodes. Soon after, in the 1950s, which would become a brand new decade for the park, and with that, the birth of the Southern Belles. The Southern Belles were young women who dressed up in apparel themed after that of antebellum South. This is significant given the celebrity appearances within the Southern Belles, eventually leading the women to become a photo opportunity experience for the park. Over the next 20 years, Cypress Gardens would see a massive amount of success. This would encourage rapid expansion into the 1970s and 80s. This expansion would be brought on after the opening of Walt Disney World in 1971. By the early 1980s, Richard Pope and his wife, Julie, would officially retire from the day-to-day operations of the park. However, park ownership would be turned over to his eldest son, Richard Pope Jr. Only a short time later, in 1985, Cypress Gardens would be sold to Harcourt, that wanted to build SeaWorld locations in the area. This would eventually lead to yet another sale, only 4 years later, in 1989, when Harcourt would sell the park again to Anheuser-Busch. Busch would own and operate the park until 1995, when the third purchase of the park would soon be sold to a group of park managers, led by a man by the name of Bill Reynolds. Under Reynolds' leadership, the gardens would begin to struggle, especially following the tourism decline after the events of September 11, 2001. By 2003, Reynolds & Company were ready to sell once again. And only 1 year later, in February 2004, Adventure Park Group would purchase the park, officially renaming the park Cypress Gardens Adventure Park. Following in November of that same year, the new park would officially open, featuring over 4 new roller coasters and 6 new thrill rides, with more to be added by 2007. However, the newly opened park's success and plan wouldn't last long. The same year of the opening of the new park, 3 major hurricanes would hit the Central Florida area. This damage would cost over $30 million for the ownership group. Nearly 2 years later, in September 2006, Adventure Parks Group would file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. In October of 2007, Florida-based South Holdings purchased Cypress Gardens, joining the long list of owners. Another 2 years would pass, and in March of 2009, yet another new grand opening for the park would occur, this time featuring an expanded water park named Splash Island. The new fun would soon dry up under the hot Florida sun yet again, In September of 2009, South Holdings announced the closure of the park immediately, saying that all of the avenues to keep the park had been explored. However, this wouldn't be the end of Cypress Gardens. On January 15, 2010, the world's second largest theme park and attractions operator, Merlin Entertainment, bought Cypress Gardens. However, the intention of the park was to be for the company's fifth Legoland theme park. Over the next year and a half, Cypress Gardens, as we once knew it, would be completely taken down for good. Merlin Entertainment would officially open Legoland Orlando on October 15, 2011, giving way for the next decade of success for the land that was once the beautiful botanical garden theme park known as Cypress Gardens. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. Every little bit helps. Until next time, when the ride comes to a complete stop, please push down a lap bar and exit to the gift shop to your right. We'll see you again very soon.